Rebel Walk post-game report. What's going on, y'all? I'm Daylan Flowers. My main man, Billy Kuhl, here with me. Ole Miss took care of business tonight. 30-14, defeating the South Carolina Gamecocks, and they move 8-1 on the season. A huge victory for Ole Miss, and it sets up, a good remaining part of their schedule to kind of be in their favor now. The Citadel next weekend, Florida, Mississippi State. Billy, what were your takeaways from this game? What did you see?
Well, I got to state the obvious. Trinidad did not look great tonight. He admitted to it. Lane talked about it in their post-game press conferences, but that doesn't matter because Kewan Lacy is that good at football. Career high in rushing tonight, and he broke one off for a touchdown late in the game to reward himself. Big night, and we say it every week. He just doesn't go down. He breaks tackles like I've never seen before. He's one of the most impressive players I've ever watched.
And I think Kewan is the difference between, Ole Miss winning some of these games this year and Ole Miss losing some of the games that they did last year in 2024. Whether it's a collection of a struggling offensive line or just simply having a lackluster run game and a lot of question marks in the run game, Kewan Lacy has provided things for Ole Miss that they really needed last year. He's able to get them out of tough situations. He's able to get them out of big moments on third downs that are really intense. And he doesn't just run the ball really well, Billy. He's a pass blocker. And it's funny because we talked about this, but his size, you really want to think of him being as good as a pass blocker as he is, but he really goes out there, throws his body to protect his quarterback. And I think another thing that is not really talked about Kewan Lacy is his receiving ability. He's been really reliable for Trinidad Chambliss as a check down guy when things aren't open downfield. Kewan's been really, really effective for Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss in that way, and I think he's going to continue being that way because if you notice something, Billy, the pre-snap before the play starts for Ole Miss, that's been the most effective thing for them this year. And I want to ask you, what are you seeing from the offensive line that's made them so effective? They continue to really surprise me every week, so I want to see from you, want to hear from you, what's making this Ole Miss offensive line so great?
I mean, to start the season, they had a lot of injuries, didn't mesh well, or I wouldn't say didn't mesh well, didn't play a lot together in fall camp, and it took a week or two, even into that Arkansas game, to really mesh together, but since then they've looked dominant, honestly. I had the pleasure of being down in the student section during the LSU game, and I really zeroed in on Delano Townsend and Bryson Sanders, and I mean, they're doing great things on that offensive line, and they continue to do so.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to understand, like you just said, there were a lot of question marks coming into the offensive line coming into the season, whether it was injuries, new guys trying to really get attached to the team and build chemistry. After that Georgia State game, I think tensions were high in terms of the fan base, and I think it even continued on after Kentucky. But since the Arkansas game, this group has really come together, and it's been a standout part of the team for a reason. They've really come together, and I think John Garrison understood the pressure that may have been on his name going into the season. So I think they really understood that they had to perform for their offensive line coach. It's switching to the defense, Billy, you think about the game 2 weeks ago in Athens. How does Ole Miss come back defensively? They've came back. The last 2 weekends, the players have made big plays. They've really come together as a team. They've made moments happen when they needed to. What you see from the Ole Miss defense today, and what made them so effective against Lenore Sellers?
To be honest, over the last 2 weeks now, including tonight, they've surprised me. That's the best way I can put it. Against that Georgia team that ran the ball very well and has honestly struggled in games offensively at times, and they just made it look easy. I was questioning the Ole Miss defense a little bit, but they've proved me wrong. They've stepped up big over the last 2 weeks. I mean, Prince William has been shot out of a cannon. I mean, he just continues to get better every single week. Perkins gets his first sack of the year tonight, and he gets 1.5. First credited. He had one on a 2-point conversion that was not. But he looked great tonight in getting that interception and then hopping into the student section. A big night for the entire defense, but I just want to shout out those two guys.
Yeah. And it seems like this may have been a coming out game for Suntarian and Perkins. And if you're an Ole Miss fan, you may have been questioning where has he been this season. But I think if you wanted him to come out at any time, it's November now. This was the best time for Suntarian Perkins to do that. And he showed up tonight. Lane Kiffin talked about it. Perkins talked about in the pressers that moment that they went over there to the student section and celebrated with them. You could really tell there was a good feel in the stadium, a good vibe tonight. And the fans showed out. What did you think about the atmosphere in Vaught-Hemingway tonight?
This is something that was called for all week.
Yeah.
Not just the players. I talked about it on the Rebel Walk podcast. I was like, if they want Lane to stay, they have to show up. They're a part of it. And they answered that call tonight. The stadium was sold out. The students stayed all 4 quarters. It was a great sight tonight. The Vaught just looked aesthetically pleasing as well with all the powder blue going around. I thought it was a great vibe tonight. You always get those at night games, but tonight was special.
Yeah. And, like you just said, Lane's been calling for this, and the players deserve this. When you have a team that was coming into this game 7-1 and now 8-1, they deserve a fan base that is there early and ready to support them, and that's exactly what the Ole Miss players got tonight. And going back to the defense really quick, I also want to shout out Andrew Jones. Really came up really big in a few plays against Georgia and played a little bit more against Oklahoma and tonight. He's just been a monster for the Ole Miss defense. He's really been a game changer, and I think Pete Golding really sat down, assessed things with his staff, and watched film and said, okay, I need to make a change after Georgia. I need to do something different to just shake things up and remind these guys of competition, and he's done that with Andrew Jones. Remember, this was a guy that actually was committed to South Carolina at one point after entering the transfer portal, then decommitted to Ole Miss. He really played well tonight, and I think he's going to be a key factor in helping T.J. Daugherty out in that linebacker room and helping his Ole Miss defense out moving forward.
To touch on that, we were talking about it up in the press box. He can run down Lenora Sellers, and not a lot of guys can say that.
Yeah.
Perkins got a big help out of him because I thought coming into this game it was going to be the Sontarian Perkins show trying to keep him contained, but Andrew Jones really showed out tonight and helped in that role. So.
Yeah, and I truly believe that, Andrew Jones being as aggressive and just as surged as he has been is really helping guys out like Prince Will, Mommy Yellen, and Sontarian Perkins. When you're getting help, in the middle from the linebacking core, it allows those edge rushers to be a little bit more dynamic, allow them to have more one-on-one moments, and they've really shined because of it. And as well the secondary, I thought they did a pretty good job tonight as well. Allowed some big plays, and that's going to happen. It's happened all season for Ole Miss, but they have those moments, Ole Miss secondary, but they never give up. They keep fighting, and that's exactly what they've done over the last 2 weekends, and it's what they're going to have to keep doing moving forward. And as well, you mentioned this with me, after the LSU game, but shout out to the special teams, man. Oscar Bird, fantastic game, whether it was punting, but as well, of course, early in the game, the fake punt, and he succeeded. You got to give credit to Ole Miss for their special teams this year, and of course, Lucas Carnero. What have you seen for them today and this season that's made them so effective?
Carnero is something that I don't want to say Caden Davis didn't bring, because Caden Davis single-handedly won them that Georgia game with the defense. But he is just a level higher than him. Carnero has only missed 2 field goals this year, and they've been from 40+. One from 40 to 49 and one from 50+. He's been pretty much automatic, and you have that confidence in him every time he goes out on the field, or even if you're in borderline field goal range, you feel confident enough to just send him out there and let it run.
Yeah, and then you also have to understand the confidence and comfortability Lane Kiffin has shown to Lucas Carnero. He's obviously been known for going forward a lot on 4th downs. He's really relying on his kicker a little bit more this year, and that may be effective going in the long run. And so Ole Miss really looked like a 3-level team today. I think they're going to continue needing to do that. They want to etch out the rest of this season, spotless, and etch out a good position in the college football playoff, Billy.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, they looked phenomenal in all 3 facets tonight, and that's with a less than 100% game from Trinidad Chambliss. He had his moments of escaping the pocket, finding those guys, but overall it really was just the Kewan Lacy show, and that's a big credit to, like you said earlier, that helps them win games they don't win last year. The defense has just improved. They're a whole different team than they were 2 weeks ago, I feel like, defensively. And I mean, the special teams, we talk about it a lot on Rebel Walk, but it is a big part of the game. Lane Kiffin likes to talk about all 3 phases of the game, so it's something you can't really overlook.
Yeah, man. Ole Miss takes care of South Carolina 30-14. They moved to 8-1 on the season, and this is a game that again, Ole Miss took care of South Carolina last year, did the same thing today, but this was a game where you win by 2 possessions. A little bit of less stress going into the last 2 minutes for Ole Miss fans, and I think the players needed that as well. It's time to start beating up people for Ole Miss. You got to 8-1, you got the players, you got the moments. Now can this Ole Miss team start beating up teams that they're supposed to? We'll see moving forward to the Citadel next weekend. It's going to be a fun one. But Billy, any last thoughts about the team in the game tonight?
I think you put it in a good spot. They need to start winning by more than a couple scores. You got the Citadel next week. That's an FCS game. You have to win by a decent amount of scores. You have to put up a good showing, and then you move into Florida, and you want revenge from last year. Yeah. So they have to come here. So you have to beat up on them. I know the fans will show up for that. That's still in the taste of everyone's mouth. And then you travel down to Starkville for the Egg Bowl, and it's never an easy one in the Egg Bowl, but they are a better team than Mississippi State this year, and they're going to be crawling to ruin the season. So. You got to start beating up on teams, and you got to close out the season really strong.
Definitely, man. Make sure you follow the Rebel Walk on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and Facebook. We will keep you guys updated throughout the week on press conferences, and all our articles will be on our website, therebelwalk.com. Make sure you stay tuned. Ole Miss takes care of South Carolina 30-14 here in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. See you next weekend. Take care.